Hey guys, it's Shay with Shay's Urban Edibles back with another banging video. Although I won't be doing much gardening today, I did still want to bring you guys along for this gardening project. Come along while I repurpose these used tires. We'll first get started by thoroughly washing them, making sure there's no grit, grime, or grease so that the paint will stick to the tires. Then we'll allow them to dry for a week or so, or until I actually have time to get to this project. So this actually took place over a few different weeks. I washed the tires, they sat in the garage for a couple of weeks. Then I finally was able to get out and get to the project and get it started. All right, guys, so now that we have taken care of the dirty work of power washing the tires and make sure all of the grit and grime has been removed from the tire, it has been allowed to dry in my garage for a couple of weeks. I'm just now getting around to this project. But I did want to go ahead and show you guys the type of paint that I'm going to be using. It's a Rust-Oleum gloss paint and primer. And I got this salmon color. I thought this was really pretty. I don't have anything in the garden this color. I do have something that's similar to this color. Like I have a couple of pots that are colored like terracotta. And that's something similar to this color. But I do have 3 cans of it. I'm going to use these 3 cans to paint the tire. Hopefully this is going to be enough, because it does have the paint and primer, and it is a gloss, so I won't have to worry about adding a clear coat on top of it. But once I get the tire painted, I also want to add like some little decor, which will be some little butterflies or dragonflies. And for that, I got this dark blue, and well, it says deep blue gloss, but this type of paint bonds to plastic, wood, metal, and more. And so that's the reason why I chose this type of paint, this type of spray paint. So let's get started. I'm going to start, like I said, with this salmon color first, and then I'll be adding in the blue. Everything is covered. I just want to give it a little time to dry. Um, and then once it has dried, I'll come out, look at it again to make sure it has the proper coating. And then that's when I'll add the other decoration with the dark blue paint, the butterflies, the dragonflies, different stuff like that. Keep in mind there is an option for me to always upgrade this tire even more. I mean, you could turn it into some type of bug and add ears to it. You could turn it into a coffee cup. I've seen several different ideas that I might be interested in trying. But for now, I'm just going to leave it plain like this, allow it to dry. And like I said, I'll add the butterflies with the dark blue paint. So let's let this sit for a little bit, and then I'll come back. All right, so I finished with the salmon colored one. I did want to go ahead and start with the lime green that I was telling you guys about. This is the color that the next tire is going to be. All right, I think it's had enough time to dry. It has. Just want to get those cracks. All right, folks. So I have checked the tires. They are all very dry. Both this green one and then also the salmon colored one that I painted on yesterday. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to apply the decoration that I want. This one is going to be a ladybug. The other one is probably going to be a ladybug too. I know they're not red like they should be for a ladybug, or perhaps I'll be able to turn this one into a frog since it's green. I don't know. But my original plan was to paint them and add different types of butterflies and bees and flowers on them. But the spray paint that I bought does not work well with um, the cutouts that I bought. And so now I'm going to go with plan two. You always got to have a backup plan. And I'm going to make this one, like I said, into a butterfly. Possibly the other one will be a butterfly. Um, or this one will be a frog and the other one will be a butterfly. But I've already purchased the paint. This paint is the folk art paint. Folk art. It is supposed to be good for indoor and outdoor, so I'm assuming that it won't wash off. It does also glow in the dark, so I'll be using this paint to make the eyes. And then I have this one, which is black, and I'll use this one to make the spots. This is an acrylic indoor outdoor gloss paint as well. And so this is what I'm going to use to finish decorating my tires. So let's get started. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go with my idea of turning this one into a frog. I'm going to start with the salmon colored one. So let me grab it. All right, so here's the salmon colored one. This will be turned into a ladybug. So I'm going to start making the spots. shake this up real good. Figure out which brush I want to use. I don't really like the way either of these brushes feel. But this is what they had as an option. Maybe I could blot it. Who knows? They do have two of the ones to blot. So I'm going to try blotting it and see what happens. Bring you guys in a little closer. You can see in the background, my grandson decided that he wanted to do a tire, and his tire is 3 different colors. He uses the blue, he used the salmon, and he used the green as well. So I told him once it dries, he can take it to his mama's house and he can hang it up in the backyard and use it for a swing. So we may have to flip it over to the other side. All right, let's try this first one. See how this goes. I am not one for drawing or anything of that nature. I can barely draw a stick figure. And so you can understand why I had to have the cutouts to do the dots. It's one dot. All right, so since I am going to be making this one into a ladybug, I did need some antennas. My first thought was to use wire hangers, but of course, nobody uses those anymore, and so it was hard for me to find some. So I was able to find some old curtain rods. And so this is the thinner end of the curtain rod, and I'm going to use these for the antennas. Of course, I will need to go back and paint them black, but for now, they're going to stay this brass color. But I drilled a hole in this side of the tire, and I've already marked this side, so I need to drill a hole in this side of the tire to hold the antenna. Ooh, it smells just like burnt rubber. Get something to wipe that off. All right. So I'll drill those 2 holes. That kind of lets me know where the face has to be too, because the face needs to be even with the holes. Put this in there. And I do still need to add some more dots. Looks like I'm gonna have to drill holes at the bottom too for it to go through, because look how the antennas are. They are willy-nilly. I need them to be either straight up or back and out. I would prefer straight up since I'm gonna put flowers in here and the flowers are gonna grow up. So let me get a marker to mark the inside of the tire of where I need to mark. Sorry, where I need to drill. Yeah, because this is how I want them standing straight up. Let me get my marker. All right, I got my marker. All right, so you guys can see where the antennas are here. I'm gonna place a mark inside of this tire where I want exactly how I want the antennas to go into the hole. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So I got my holes marked. Let me move the paint and stuff that's on the inside. Pull it to the edge and start drilling. It's gotta come out. And the tires gotta get flipped off. Need a different color pen. All right, so I did end up having to get a marker and mark it on the outside of the tire because I couldn't keep the drill stable. But that also made me aware of some spaces that need a little more paint. So while I have this flipped over, I can go ahead and paint that. All right, that looks a lot better. Let that dry for a few minutes. Because I do still need to add a few more holes. All right, we got those holes drilled in. What I do want to do now is make sure all right, that one's in. Let me check out this one. Make sure these antennas fit. All right, they fit good. I like the way it looks so far. Like I said, of course, I do need to add more dots. You want to glue this on to put the face. I need some tape to hold this face in place. And this should do it. Actually, I need to move it over a little bit. How about that? Yep, that's perfect. All right, that's better. I know y'all signed up for gardening content, not all these extracurricular activities, but is going to go in the garden, if that counts for anything. All right, got the face on there. Let me get my black paint. We can get started on adding this face. This may take a while, so I'm going to take a seat. And hopefully you guys can see me paint this face on here. Yeah, got to be more careful. All right, folks, I went ahead and finished painting and going over the face a second time. I finished all of the dots that I want, and I think they're in a good place. I just need to add the eyes. So I have gone ahead and finished all the spots and went over them again. I think what I will end up doing is going over them with this glow in the dark paint to make them glow at night. The face is not finished. I need to add a mouth, but I haven't figured out what I could use to do that unless I buy more paint, which would be red paint to make a smile. I have the antennas here. And so I think this is going to be my finished product, other than going over these dots with this glow in the dark paint. And what I will do is I will take a couple of pictures and put it in the post so that you guys can see how it looks at night with the glow in the dark paint on the dots. And so this is my almost finished product. But I do appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions, I'd appreciate it if you could leave it down in the comments. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.